I had to think about something. I had turned the light box. Because earlier I was recording this long video on a nice long walk about black men turning to Trump. But then I'm like, this isn't quite complete. I weaved it in a way that I'm like, well, the thing is, this is just, it's not showing, now you can't see kind of the cool thing about the web itself in a way, I don't know, or something, and so it's like, yeah, that's still not quite right, the stew is still not quite right. So I was like, okay, and then it was this one moment where, thankfully Cenk Uyghur saw, and then I'm like, that's what it is. The thankfulness, in a way. And this is, there's a part of this that is wicked, this is a bit of a confession. And it's from a confession from Pepe the, what was it? Basket of deplorable. Pepe the deplorable, to everybody in the Republic. And it really is something that I was thinking about, like, there's this horrible thankfulness that we have. And it was the thankfulness of the various ways that the normies were woken up. And you could see moments, if you were like me, who is deep right, you could see moments that you could see the numbers move. People do things on social media, and you start to see how the data is showing you. It's not just anecdote. You're seeing this happen on social media. You could track, if you are watching for the language, how people are discussing a subject differently. People, like Hassan gets the threat that Nicolas Fuentes is to him. There was something I shot that I don't know if I uploaded or not, I thought kind of both of them, was making them out like they're a bit clownish, two clowns on the end of the horseshoe, which a lot of you know I'm not terribly into the horseshoe theory thing. I get it. It's not invalid or something, it's many perspectives, but I prefer that political triangle. And one end is the totalitarian authoritarian, another is some, various form of collectivist mentalities, and then the other corner is then individualist mentalities, and the way that people move between those. And oh my God, there's something crazy happening. Okay, moving away from the crazy sound, crazy person on a corner. Okay, anyway. So I started walking through this idea of being thankful. So one of the things was thankfulness that more and more, like now it's becoming this really ugly thing. That's how this is going to explode on TV. The way that the WNBA is starting to show, this is what we've been talking about. We've been trying to tell you all about that. It's the girls, it's the women. They're not right in their mind. Like, we can't do anything about them because you're always big upping them. And now look at how they're behaving during these fucking basketball games. And so now it's everybody's there. And the whole thing is I really started to think about, I had to be thankful that people it wasn't waking up. It's that they denied. The denial of the true, the good, and the beautiful. It's, there's no asymptomatic spread, and children can't even be infected. So what was the insistence that you guys went on? Everybody wear masks all the time outside, including children, especially when children are at school playing outside in sunlight. showing a fundamental problem, of course, with understanding biological science and what viruses are constructed of. And then this idea of they couldn't be infected even. See, that kind of denial. In the long run, it had to become a thing to be thankful for. And I had to really think about it like that. That I had to look back. It was one of these things where it was like, no. It's at some point somebody shows you what they are, and it had to, and that was the whole thing. Something. So and then I started really walking through it, and I was like, yeah, I remember how if I go back through it all, what a lot of this was about was people discussing the development philosophically of these various political methodologies of different Western countries after World War II and after World War I, and how this was tied to this, and blah blah blah, and these funders for this event, but then I started to think no, but it's going to be what happens presently, and how different political methodologies and schools of thought and everything handle it. The reaction is what I always refer to it. Wait for the reaction. How are they going to adapt to this social problem? And that's what changed everything. That changed everything in the long run. Waiting for the reaction and seeing how the millennials who were on the right, they got better at waiting for the reaction. They were already very good at it because they understood things from the internet world that somebody like me, I didn't quite understand. That wasn't the world of scholarly debate. I remember Donahue. serious highbrow debating. Donahue. And what was it? What was the one on Channel 9, like on PBS and stuff like that, with the McLaughlin, the McLaughlin report, McLaughlin group or whatever, and the serious high-level debate, that's what, so the internet culture had altered this, because you had people that were well-informed, but, they weren't some public figure. They were just somebody who had, done a lot of research on something. And at some point, it started to become this thing of, okay, so you got to bring receipts, as internet culture has brought that term, has birthed that term. Got to bring the receipts. And so the internet culture of debate started bringing the receipts. And that became a major part of even internet blood sports, to the point that you had these people who are specialists at screen capping things and capturing video and archiving stuff, and they're fast as lightning on it. I mean, it's just amazing to see how young people understand data and tools to deal with data and manage it and stuff like that. And so I started really walking back through the history of what was going on with the left and the right, with the millennials, on platforms like YouTube. I was trying to remember, okay, and then there was this thing that happened with this studio that produced this comic, and there was these people on Twitter who did this, and okay, and then there was, and so what I started to really sit back and started to think about how, one, it was the idea of, how are the Democrats going to sell this? But I started to think then, no, thankfully, they got totally frank about what they think. What was interesting is that there's a lot of people who were left and even kind of extreme on the left, that when you would bring up stuff that definitely people like them say or really believe, and really believe it, that it's no, this goes back to the founding of that ideology, in gender or something, that and and what was it, and the age and consent laws, and the sexual being and things like that. And most of us don't think this. Most people do not think this. That it is a repellent idea to most people. And so, I mean, why do you guys not think that? So something I started, like that started to show too often. That came up too many times. Why are you not repelled by something that is quite repellent? And that, like now that sort of some kind of member of your political faction likes this, it's not repellent, where the right is constantly at each other's throats. Like Nick Fuentes just proves it, just watching what's going on with him just shows people like, no, they're all there's and then following what's gone on with Crowder and with what's her face, I can't believe I'm forgetting her name, Candace Owens. All of this that it's never, there's a lot of double dealing, or there's just a lot of chicanery, or whatever, shenanigans. So I was like, no, it's thankful. I should be very thankful that all this is coming up, because really, this isn't even yet a hot struggle. This is still kind of the cool, tepid part of the struggle, where everyone starts to expose what their banners are and what side they are on of things. And said you should actually be very thankful for this, because this is revelation. This is the universe, is God revealing, showing like, okay, everybody take off your disguises. Who are you? And the beauty of this is that when Trump had power, there's nothing about his administration that could be cited as what a fascist would have done or what a totalitarian would have done. Almost every single thing about Biden's administration is the typical kind of big government dictatorship ideology put into form that is common to Democrats for over 100 years. And that this almost seems as if that this has been set up over multiple generations for an era of time like this. And hence people liking Trump, because he seems to be something that, like a hero that comes out of, a hero who's aware of there's of Lex Luthor. He knows what Lex Luthor is up to. He just can't prove it yet. There we go. And he knows Lex Luthor has the diamonds and the death ray, and all he needs is the gold pressed latinum or something like that. But he can't. He's got to try to figure out how Lex Luthor is going to try to steal all the gold pressed latinum to make the death ray work. Whatever it is. That's kind of one of the feelings people end up having about it all, is that it's like, well, no, he seems to kind of know the score, and a little before the rest of everybody knows the score, and that's kind of cool, and that's why so many people are kind of down and changing their vote, is it comes across that way. That's one of the appeals. But then I started really walking through no, this has really been because of denials that things were happening that now nobody can deny are happening. And so now what's fascinating is there's now multiple tiers. It's cascading failure happening in blue enclaves, that you are now losing the insurers, and after that come the reinsurers, and the financial institutions are collapsing. That's one that you could look up right now about how many banks this year have already failed. And it is amazing what that's showing. And then there's the report of the kind of initial numbers we've gotten from people relocating then to red state America, and how those areas are doing. And that those areas, it's not like it's going gangbusters, but they're staying stable, and it's stable, slow growth is what the trend line is showing. That, and what the kind of like what people are doing there is showing. Same that they do this, they'll have stable, slow growth. They're not like, not growing like weeds, not, popping out of, just, oh my gosh, gas. No, it's the stable, slow growth. And that's generally what you want, so that slowly prices come down because of efficiencies that naturally form in the market when you have slow growth of your economy. And so I started really like walking through, like, yeah, now more and more people are starting to understand this. And they could not have understood this unless a lot of other things had revealed themselves. And that only comes from people really being truthful about what their intentions are. And that more and more people are having this moment where they're like, like if they're gamifying it, it's like, yeah, I think these guys are fundamentally playing the game of life better, so I'm going to see what's going on with them. And oh, dude, they fleeted me up, gave me a free ship that was really cool, and then we played for the next 6 hours, and it was a blast. And I didn't think these people would be that cool. That's, in game terms, what's starting to happen with people who are leaving the Democrats. Like, I'm back to dealing with normal people who kind of are trying to just have a normal life. Like, these people are so incredibly normal, and now it's like, but they're all spun up now because, and this is what really hit me, is the thankfulness about this. Because of the left having openly, they reject the true, the good, and the beautiful. That right now, with video games and movies and television, the beautiful is being rejected. The good has been rejected with race politics and embracing of criminality and sort of the celebration of the criminal. And the true, the beautiful, the true, that one has, that's just been crushing. Because what keeps happening is that the left and their propagandists keep messing this up. That they could kind of every once in a while concede, okay, no, we did that. We totally did that. We totally did that the way it went, the way you're saying. We could totally see the way, how you're putting this. We get it. We don't agree, but we get it. That kind of thing. Charity, actually, that was what that would be. To be charitable. They could do that. They've repeatedly shown they wouldn't. Like, kept, this idea that Mike Brown had his hands up, that there was no, I actually always wonder, everybody knows where that myth came from, I hope. It was the one guy who was there who gets on television. And why did he get on television? He was the guy who got fundamentally, was getting arrested with Mike Brown. They used him as a witness on the scene, witness on the streets. And so that's where he gets this, that the cop was like reaching out of the car, had Mike Brown by the neck. Mike Brown's dangling in the air by this cyber arm, of this mega cop, and then the guy comes out of the car and Mike Brown's begging for his life. And, this was totally ridiculous. This was, totally ridiculous. And when you heard what this guy was saying, but yet that was the key. That was it. it had none of the other many witnesses that the trial ends up, you know, using that nobody wants to talk about. There's all these other witnesses there. Um, and because this is in the middle of a street where they were actually like upsetting traffic in some way, and so that's, you know, but see, that kind of issue of knowing that, and knowing that those were the details of it, and in knowing those details, that changes the truth value of the tale. And so it people like being kind of wishy-washy on what's true and accurate and the real thing that happened. Oh, there's all these perspectives. Everybody has their own truth, this and that. Well, the beauty of that is that it's made people have to sit back and go, well, what does that even mean? Everybody has their own truth. Like, what is it? Okay, like, explain that. You know, that kind of, and nobody's liking the explanation anymore. It's a very unsatisfactory explanation that's coming out of this everybody has their own truth action. And there's like no traffic on the street. I think it's still closed. This is like hell weird because there's like no construction. But yeah, let me show you guys. This is actually kind of surreal. It's kind of cool. It's just like super quiet out here. It's like really, it's kind of surreal. It's kind of nice. So I was thinking about this with the true, the good, and the beautiful, and that the left has so crushed the true. And then people who were very familiar online, they would be like, oh, well, of course. And you'd be like, what do you mean? And it'd be like, oh, well, here. And they would have like these quotes from all these, like, the people who the left would be constantly citing at you with some, or posting some quote of theirs, and then it would be like their deep epistemology of their version of, you know, whatever kind of, you know, kook socialism idea they had, and they would tell you, oh yeah, you know, the truth is just kind of what I say it is. And in one way or another, they'd have a way of working it. Oh no, the truth is, you know, like kind of what I was just thinking about, you know, and that's true. And you know, and so I was like, oh, okay, this seems to be possibly part and parcel of the ideology. And more, of course, then, you know, this is advanced, and more people have pointed this out. No, this is part and parcel of Marxism and all socialism is this. Fundamentally, the truth is this very fuzzy kind of thing, you know, that they're, you know, well, I mean, what's true, you know, that kind of talk, and the kind of talk you'd expect from gangsters, and that was the when they want your money, not when you owe them money. What is true is you owe them money. What's true is what they say when, you know, they owe you money or they want your money. So, yeah, there we go. And I just kind of like that now, more openly, and I'm thankful that more openly the Marxists and the socialists and all those types are openly embracing the criminal class and association with the criminal class, and anthropologically they see this as, oh, there's these people and they're tired of being stepped on, you know, and stuff, to make an old school reference, and so I had to think about it. I was like, no, you should be thankful they finally have shown their colors. Just be glad, because I mean, now people have to decide. They don't have a problem. They just need to make a decision.